He is the key to everything.
To bring balance to the Force?
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Yankees Avenue off-season live stream. Yo, it is, of course, Tuesday night, which every week we will be going live, as we have been, every Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. And, we'll be able to pass you guys right over to Slapball Game 2, which I am featured in on the story, of course, over on the Warehouse Games channel. But, we are here today, and first things first, chat, how we doing? Reminder, as always, we'll be getting to what you guys have to say at the very end. But, last couple weeks we've come on here and haven't had all that much worthwhile news to discuss. And I won't, lie and say it's a big, grand, crazy breaking news show, but there are some things to discuss. Yankees offseason wise, Aaron Boone, if you didn't see, he went on, BT and Sal, I believe, this morning on WFAN, and he had quite a few comments, and that's actually what we're going to start today's show with, and then we'll get into Joel Sherman's report from last week that the Yankees almost definitely, at least the industry sense, is that they won't make another move until they do trade Marcus Stroman, which we've discussed that situation a pretty decent amount so far, but, there's some more details to be revealed from the article, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. But really quick, if you guys don't mind, drop a like on the stream before we get into it, and also a reminder to follow Yankees Ave on Facebook and on Instagram as well. Obviously, like I always say, up-to-the-minute news, breaking news, all goes there first, and then we'll always come on YouTube later that night to talk about it. Also shout out my guy Morgan, moderating in the chat, whoever else we may have in here, Feo, Nelson, but all you guys, shout out to you, drop a like if you don't mind, and man, we're getting close. Pitchers and catchers in, 2.5 weeks, February 15th, I believe the Yankees report, and that's going to be here before we know it. Almost already is. So January for now, cold as shit for now, but before we know it, we'll be getting going. And I'm getting the itch. Not, 100% ready to, for the 162 grind per se, but maybe I am. The only reason I wouldn't be is because there is one more move to be had with this Yankees team, and we'll discuss that later. But for now, let's discuss Aaron Boone and what he said earlier on BT and Sal. Now, this is the first time I think we've heard him speak really at length this offseason, at least post Juan Soto, and since they've made a decent amount of moves. And he actually kind of gave some insight as to what the lineup could look like. And, let's just get into it because he mentioned a few things. So, again, this is courtesy of BT and Sal, WFAN. Let's go one by one here because, to be honest, spoiler, I'm pretty displeased with almost all of it. But let's go through it. So, first thing he mentioned, and shout out Gary Phillips, who kind of put all this into one tweet, said he'll likely go with Cody Bellinger in center field and Jason Dominguez in left field. Bellinger can move around as needed, while he'd rather keep Dominguez in one spot. Now, let's just go point by point here and work off of that one. Now, I'll tell you right off the bat, I think this is a terrible decision. Terrible. Now, surprises me even more so besides my opinion because Jack Curry even a couple weeks ago on Yankees Hot Stove suggested the same thing, that no, don't put Jason in left, put Jason Dominguez in center. That way, one, he's going back to his natural position. Two, we all know left field in Yankee Stadium is the far tougher position to play. And this way, with him back in his natural position of center, not having to worry about Yankee Stadium Death Valley in left field, you also have pretty elite outfielders with Judge going back to right. And of course, we know what Bellinger's all about in his defense. Them two would be surrounding Jason in the corners. I think it was, almost too easy of a take to have to even present it on the show type thing. And then you saw Jack Curry agree with it. I was like, all right, we're going with Jason in center, Bellinger in left. Apparently, that is not the case, and at least according to Boone today, which he is a manager, so you assume it's going to be this way, Bellinger will be in center, Dominguez in left, which I don't understand totally the logic behind it. I mean, you'd rather keep Dominguez in one spot. I mean, I don't see how that would affect Jason, regardless whether he's the left fielder or the center fielder, besides days in which Trent Grisham gets a start. But at the same time, you're not factoring in your fourth outfielder into decisions like this. With that said, and with that all in mind, the Yankees must just feel good about Jason in left. I mean, I think that we have another left fielder next year, and that's Kyle Tucker. Maybe that's not going to happen. Regardless, to me, Jason in center was the move. We'll move on. He has Jazz at second and DJ LeMahieu. He has Jazz Chisholm Jr. at second base and DJ LeMahieu, Oswaldo Cabrera, Oswald Peraza competing for third base right now. And I want to just comment on the tone of this, to be honest, and really this whole thing. It seems like every single year we have to be dealing with a weird fluid situation to which, like, we're talking about, we have Jazz at second base right now. And the topic of a competition for third base, which involves DJ LeMahieu at age 36, Oswaldo Cabrera and Oswald Peraza competing for third base right now. And then you look at the next point, briefly mentioned Jazz and Jason as possible leadoff options. Doesn't necessarily have to be one guy, which I totally disagree that it doesn't have to be that one guy. But just going off the general vibe of what Boone said today, it seems like every single offseason there's this fluidness that the New York Yankees should not have to worry about, Like, we should know, at the very least, who's leading off. We should know, and again, he has Jazz at second base. Like, what exactly does that mean, I understand the versatility of Jazz Chisholm Jr., and I've talked about that, pretty frequently on here, about you can go out and get a third baseman, and then there you go, you move Jazz over to second. But it's not a thing where Jazz has been so bad at third that because of his defense being poor, which it's not, he was plus 7 outs above average at third last year, learning the position on the fly. Regardless, though, my point is, you have Jazz at second base right now. Like, to me, it's Jazz is either your third baseman or he's your second baseman. And I'll tell you, regardless if we're going into the year opening day with one of DJ, Waldo, or Peraza starting at third, which most likelihood we are we thinking that's the guy? Those are the guys that are going to be playing third base in October? Probably not. So I don't know, something about the whole, like, we have Jazz at second base and going about it that way without just declaring him the second baseman. That's the way I would do it. But my issue obviously more so lies with the fact of, DJ, Waldo, and Peraza, which I'll tell you, I think I'm Camp Peraza. I'm not going to get my hopes up behind that or nothing. You just know how I feel. Like, if DJ's on the roster come spring, which he will be, and there's a competition, it will be his job to lose. But I'm kind of on, fuck it, just run out the former, one of our top prospects, Oswald Peraza, who defensively would be the best of all three. Whatever, though. Regardless, it's not an ideal situation. You guys know I want them to go external to get another infield bat, but we'll discuss that in the Stroman topic in a minute. But as for leadoff, don't want to go too much into this. Just, again, it's kind of like the overall vibe of what Boone was discussing today. And kind of just like the we don't know or the we'll see. Like, we're the Yankees, man. Like, we shouldn't have to be discussing very important facets of the roster in this manner. I can get, like, one thing, but every single quote here, is just like, we think we'll do this. We don't have to have something set here. We'll see where we go there. Like, we're the New York fucking Yankees, dog, Last thing, Everson Pereira is healthy and could factor in the outfield mix. That's obviously pretty minor news, but good to hear because we also we heard that he ended up going with the Tommy John surgery, like the UCL surgery that Jason Dominguez got that allows for a quicker recovery. So he's apparently healthy. That's good to hear. But the big thing being, of course, that Jazz is playing second and Jason is going to be in left. Not that I disagree with the Jazz thing so much, just the way they're going about it, and more so on the Jason stuff. I would not have gone that route, but maybe it changes. Let's discuss a little Marcus Stroman. Now, this is new when it comes to news on paper. Now, we always kind of speculated this, but it came out last week, further detail at least, and this is from Jules Sherman, his article in the Post last week. And the top thing is what I really want to focus here when it comes to this story, but just read it real quick. It says, agents and opposing teams describe the Yankees as more in a holding pattern, with a sense that they want to clear as much of Marcus Stroman's $18 million 2025 obligation as much as possible to free up dollars to shop elsewhere. With still a deep stable of free starters available, including Jack Flaherty, Kyle Gibson, Andrew Heaney, blah, 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 it's not going to be easy to execute a Stroman trade, at least not in the short run. Which, this totally makes sense. We kind of figured that, they're not doing anything else until Stroman is gone. Got to clear money. Concerns me a little bit there at the end, though, because if you're having doubts that you're going to be able to trade this dude, which I'm not all that worried about just yet, but the concern is more so it is going to take a minute, because like Sherman said in the article, you got to let the starting pitching market continue to unfold and get these guys off the board, and then a team maybe loses a starter and all of a sudden comes calling on the Yankees' door. All right, word, but when exactly is that going to be, Are we talking March? And then what follow-up move are they making post a potential Marcus Stroman deal that gets us excited, And I will say, this article was interesting, but Stroman then follows it up with, once they trade Stroman, here's some of the moves they could go out and make. And it was just mentioning Tim Hill or getting a backup catcher. What was the other one? Something like Jorge Polanco. And it's if that's what the big move following Marcus Stroman is, I don't even care to begin with. But if that is the case and there's players you want out in the market, and this applies to anybody, this isn't just to the guys I mentioned that Sherman discussed that I have no interest in. But even so, yo, like if these are players you want, go out and fucking sign them, bro. Like, are you gonna tell me? I'm not asking for Alex Bregman here. I'm just asking you to do the moves that you want to do. Like, you want to bring Tim Hill back, right? The luxury tax is preventing the Yankees from going out and signing a 1 year, $3 million contract. Or in the case of Jorge Polanco, and again, just going off the example Sherman mentioned as possible guys the Yankees go out and get after they shed Stroman's salary, it's like, yo, the fucking luxury tax is stopping us from going out and get Jorge Polanco. Again, this is to like a general blanket point. You can put this on anybody, yo. Same with Alex Bregman, who I don't love, but at this point I would take. You're the New York Yankees. If you want a player, if you don't, fine. If the Yankees don't like Bregman, whatever. They don't like anybody on the free agent market, that's one thing. But if they do, and what's preventing them from go out and get that deal done is an extra, ultimately fucking really chump change at this point because they're already over the tax, and they're most likely not getting under it. And maybe sure they trade Stroman and they add another $5 million in payroll afterwards, then sure, you're entering the season right around like 295 or 290 to 295, and then there's a deadline. If the Yankees want to compete for a World Series, they're going over 301 anyways, which is the final luxury tax threshold. So the whole thing is a little bit stupid, bro. Like, it's looking more and more clear like this is the team that we're going to go into the year with, give or take, see you later Stroman, and then maybe add Tim Hill or like a Jorge Polanco. Which, again, if they really want those guys, go sign them fucking now, bro. You're telling me, yo, like you think these are players that could help this team be better this year, and because of the luxury tax, I already made my point. But let's read the last part here really quick. Question then becomes, are the Yankees in their Bubba Crosby phase? After the 2005 season, Brian Cashman and the Yankees insisted they were comfortable going with the unheralded, untested Crosby in center on a championship-caliber team, right up until agreeing with Johnny Damon on a 4-year, $52 million contract. And then he says, so Steinbrenner and Cashman could just be waiting to see if the prices fall further as spring training years, blah, blah, blah. And here's at the end here what I also want to mention. The Yankees, this is not happening on the left relief level as the Yankees just wait out, say, Hill, Andrew Chafin, Denny, whatever. Thought that was something else. Sorry. You guys get the deal, though. As for Stroman, there's going to be a team that wants him. I'm almost sure of that. But again, like, what is the actual outcome of all this? Like, if we're waiting for Stroman, that domino to fall, get him off the payroll, what comes next? Tim Hill? Go sign Tim Hill right fucking now, bro. And Jeff Passan was kind of roasting the Yankees, too, about the way they're handling their finances. And remember, he was a guy that was saying after they lost Soto, like, that could be a good thing for us. And I wouldn't be shocked if at the time he was in a similar boat to the rest of us when they're making all these moves. Like, yo, this is the start of what's going to be a damn good, complete offseason. Well, since then, since signing Paul Goldschmidt, it's felt very incomplete. So kind of a change of tune on Jeff Passan's end. And I'm sure in part seeing what the Dodgers are doing where they just don't give a shit. I don't want to get into the whole, revenue made and all this shit, but like going off of 2023, it's a season where they didn't make the playoffs. They have more than enough money to be able to go past the luxury tax, pay the 110% tax on all the money they have to spend. Like, they can afford this regardless, let alone a year they just came off on the World Series, bro. So it is quite frustrating. But we'll leave it at that because we do obviously have a little bit left in the offseason. But just know, until Stroman does go, it's going to be a lot more of a, dead time when it comes to this winter. Let's see here. Let's go on to the next thing. A reminder, chat, we'll begin to what you guys have to say. So anything you're letting me know about how you feel about this, feel free, talk amongst yourselves, but I will be seeing it in about 10 minutes. We have a few more things to go over. Let's discuss this really quick or kind of just let you guys know if you didn't see. So, of course, the Yankees missed out on Roki Sasaki, which, he's in L.A. Fuck him. Whatever. But, of course, they had a lot of money international-wise to spend, and they weren't able to spend on Sasaki, so they filled it elsewhere. And the top guy they got is Manny Cedeno, a 16-year-old shortstop out of the DR. Now, they got a couple guys I'm quite excited about on a surface level. I don't want to, pretend like I know the guy's whole scouting report, but what it is they love his bat. He has, take this with a grain of salt because it makes me think of Clint Frazier. They always say this shit, but like elite bat speed for his age, blah, blah, blah. His glove is really sharp. He's quick on the bases, and he's a player that, like, internationally, he's raved about. And he's the number 11 prospect internationally before the Yankees signed him. They also got a couple other guys out of the Dominican Republic, a power-hitting outfielder, I believe the last name of Castillo. Again, won't spend too much time on this, but, with the Yankees obviously never going to be, like, towards the very top end of the regular amateur draft because they're never like that awful to where they get like a top pick. the international draft is very, very important, especially in recent years for them. So getting a guy like Cedeno, who is a third shortstop they've taken with their top signing in the international. Am I saying international draft? International signing period. They also took Roderick Arias, who's one of our top prospects right now. I believe number 4 on most lists. He's a baller. They had what's his name? Another shortstop too. But of course, anybody wondering about this? Like, are they trying to replace Volpe? Teams draft shortstops. Most players that you watch and love today were all shortstops at one point. It's just, typically the most athletic position there is. So you can move them off the position if you want to. And I'm sure whether it's for us or somebody else, long term, Manny Cedeno, he's 16 years old right now. I don't want to project nothing, but he's probably not going to be a shortstop, and that's fine. Maybe he plays second base or third base, or maybe we never fucking see him again, chat, and that's probably where we're headed. Just kidding. But so the Yankees did still have, and this is according to their own account, they're very pleased with their international signing period, and it's headlined by Manny Cedeno. Let's discuss this really quick. Now, this is some light news, but I do want to talk about Roansy Contreras, because some of you guys may remember, and of course the news here is that they have claimed pitchers Roansy Contreras and Alan Winans off of waivers. Now, the 40-man roster is, I believe, up to 38 now, so starting to fill up, and, again, still assume hopefully Yankees have a move or two left in them. Now, don't want to make this too big a deal because, if there were a move where they needed an open 40 spot, both these guys, see ya. It's not that big a deal. But you may remember Roansy Contreras, a former Yankees prospect and of somewhat, not notoriety, that's not the word, but he was the number 8 prospect, and he was traded to the Pirates before 2021 for Jameson Taillon. And really quick, the only reason I bring this up is former Yankee prospect who they clearly like. They brought him back, and now he's in the hands of Matt Blake. And at least as of right now, well, again, they need a spot in the 40-man, him or Winans, they can go no problem. But he is, he's on the 40-man. So, there's a good shot we could see Contreras this year. And just the idea of the Yankees getting a pitcher back that they clearly like, former prospect, now in the hands of Matt Blake. Word. Down for that. So, that's kind of all the actual, on paper news that we've had over the week. Big thing, of course, being what Boone said today. Another look at that if you want to. We'll discuss that in the chat for sure, which we'll probably spend about 10 minutes in there. And then remember, Slap Ball. And for those who are watching this later on, not live on the stream, Slap Ball Game 2, which I am in. I'm on the story with Jake Storiale, Lou Dab, and Dalton Feely, the MV P tonight, 7:30 premiere. And if you're watching later on, you can always go back and go to the Warehouse Games to check that out. But let's really quick before we get to the chat, and I also am going to do a giveaway too. Speaking of the lineup, we probably should have done this before, but here's a lineup if Jazz leads off. Same opinion as always. I like the lineup outside of who's playing, in this case now, third base. Here's a lineup with Jason leading off. And I'll tell you, I lean Jason, but that also just feels freaking ridiculous, bro. All right, have a good-ass spring, and then maybe we'll talk. But for right now, we don't even know what Jason is yet. Penciling him at leadoff, and I think even mentioning it's a little bit silly. But again, these are not problems that we should be in to begin with. And part of this, I'll cut Boone some slack too, yo. I was criticizing before, we always discuss things, it seems like, every offseason in this kind of fluid manner, which is just not a thing the Yankees should do. It's not really Boone's fault. While I disagree with some of the decisions here, I would put Jason in center, Bellinger in left. This is the roster that was given to him, yo. So it's not his problem that he's got to technically let DJ LeMahieu compete for a job, or any of these guys for that matter, which I want to know how you guys feel about this. I mentioned it earlier, but at this point, yo, I want nothing to do with the internal battle for this infield spot, but it's looking like we're headed there. I'm Camp Oswald Peraza, bro. He's out of options, so he has to be on the big league club. He had a chance to win the starting shortstop job just 2 years ago. And while he's had some big league run, and I don't feel bad for him. I don't feel he had his chance to win the job, and he wasn't good. And he's had some big league playing time, which is kind of crazy, actually, when I put this stat in here today, that he's played 74 big league games already. But at the very least, the defense is going to be good. And it's this is your guy if he's going to be on the roster, which, again, out of options, so he has to be unless you trade him. You could do that, too. Fuck it, bro. Run it. You know what I'm saying? Compared to DJ LeMahieu, it's a pretty easy choice. Again, none of this is ideal, but we don't got to keep going into all that. We're also going to discuss Judge's projections for 2025. We're going to do it fucking quick because, projections low ball, and I don't want to really look at the numbers they have been putting up for all that long. Although for most, they would be a tremendous career year by a landslide. For Judge, it's a little small. But let's do the giveaway really quick. announce the winner first, and then we'll set up one for next week. But this is from Christopher1714. You win the giveaway, my fan. Let's see, my fan. That would have been fucking weird to say. My friend. Fun fact: the Yankees have not lost a postseason series as a higher seed in the Judge era. This is quite alarming for the postseason chokers narrative. Yeah, I mean, kind of going back to what I just said. I like that you pointed this out about with Boone. Like, they've beaten all the teams, again, going according to the seed that they should beat. Slight caveat there. I mean, 2020, if you want to care about the season at all, don't blame me if you don't. The Yankees were a team that should have beaten the Rays that year. They were just the lower seed. But again, you could put the blame in the front office because a lot of that, why they lost, was they were getting too cute. But yeah, man, team just hasn't been good enough. Dodgers last year, they were better. Doesn't mean you can't beat them, but you didn't give you a chance, the best chance possible to win. All the Astros teams, better. The 2018 Red Sox, better. So it's a good point, man. It's a good point. And yo, shout out to you to get the shirt. Just hit me up on Twitter, Instagram at Dan Allen Rourke, and we'll get that shipped out within a couple days. And as for this week's giveaway, go ahead and comment. This is my least favorite part of the show. Come up with something to comment for you guys to enter in the giveaway. I got my Poland spring water, so the comment I'm going to request is include the word spring anywhere in your comment. Could be at the very end, and that'll enter you in the giveaway. But let's do judge projections really quick, and then we'll get out of here. I also know there was a Yankees hot stove going on tonight. Let me double check really quick. Make sure nothing crazy has been said. No, doesn't look like there has been. But let's do judge projections really quick. Obviously, coming off another season where he was one of the greatest hitters of all time. Playoffs have made me, have to clarify that always with best regular season hitter of all time, and I do mean that, by the way. He did it without steroids, totally clean, best pitching you're ever going to see. And did I have another point? I think there's a third thing to that. Forget my whole spiel now. We'll get into it another time. Projections, though, for this year, again, they lowball. This would be a disappointing year to judge, which is crazy to say. Just cut to the chase. I think he's going to, at the very least, hit over 60 home runs and maybe even flirt with 70. Reminder, last year, if he just hit decently in April, he breaks the record again. He still had 8 homers, I believe, while he was struggling. But a typical judge month is at least 10. So 60, I would almost say, is a lock. Well, I've definitely walked back my claim of, if he hits, I had to set the World Series. Like, he hits 70, I won't give a shit, got to win the World Series. I won't go that far because I'm back in the zone now. But obviously, it all depends on how it finishes in October until he wins a ring. There's going to be that stain on his legacy. Not much more to discuss about it, though. It's fucking Judge. He's the man. See you in October. But let's get to the chat. Let me pull this shit up and see how we're doing, And I really want to discuss. Let me pull this back up here. How you guys feel about the Boone comments, and just give me your thoughts on that. And if you're kind of in agreement with me, again, just like the general sentiment that like we're in this place all the time where we don't know what the deal is going to be with this team, and even more so coming off the World Series loss, it's pretty frustrating. But let me know how you feel. Gleyber's soft, man. Absolutely not. I don't see what you're responding to, 13 bar, but dude, more now than ever, I wish we brought Gleyber back. Pretty big time, to be honest. Let's see. Disagree. Rays were 40 and 20. We were 33 and 27. Well, that's what I was saying, Nicholas. Seating wise, the Rays were better, but our roster in 2020, I'll still contend, should have beaten that team. But Yankees got cute. Y'all quick to trade Marcus Stroman, knowing damn well we're going to need some pitching depth. Strizzy, I have nothing wrong or nothing against Stroman. I really don't. Like, for what he was, he's fine. And if the Yankees only had 4 starters right now and needed that 5th in Stroman, word. He's a good, solid pitcher that I have no problem pitching every 5th day as our number 5. But you mentioned depth. You don't pay $18 million for depth. So, it's as simple as that, man. It's nothing against Stroman. I think he was fine for the Yankees. Made 30 starts, ERA right around 4. He was usually good for a quality start. Which, speaking of, Young May just said Stroman just unfollowed the Yankees. Which, whatever, to be honest. But he sees it right on the wall. Dan the Man in 2025. How you doing, Monte? What's up, bro? Would love to land Bregman at 3rd, but Peraza could do the job. Go Yankees. I would definitely take Bregman at this point. But internally, I would lean Peraza. I ain't just lean. I'm just saying, go for it, man. What are we doing with him? Again, mainly because he has to have options. Dan, where will you hit me up if I win? Well, Nicholas, I always see you, bro. I'll definitely be able to get you the giveaway when you do win, and I'm sure you will one day. Yeah, and like Morgan said, yo, post the giveaway comment in the spring. Post the giveaway word spring in a comment below, not in the live chat. What is our best reasonable infield option left? Reasonable, like being insanely rational, I would say Jorge Polanco. Doesn't really float my boat all that much, yo, but guys that I would still be like, all right, let's fucking go. This is a legitimate improvement. Nico Hoerner's the last dude that, like, through the grapevine I've heard the Yankees have still checked in on. I would love him. Brandon Lau, been on him forever, yo. And, like, my boy Beebs and Max have, they go way back in wanting him in the Yankees. I think he would be a perfect fit. Hasn't really been much smoke. There hasn't really been much smoke anywhere, yo. I mean, like, the last actual rumor that was put on, like, the internet was Arise, and we found out that was all BS. But in terms of anybody I want in the trade market, give me Nico Hoerner, bro. He makes $11 million a year. You'd be able to bet him at leadoff. Wouldn't be the perfect leadoff candidate, but he plays great defense at second base. He's quick, doesn't strike out a lot at all, and he still is like a 335, 340 on base guy. That's an obvious improvement. Ha-Seong Kim, same deal. There are players available that are, no matter what, upgrades over, the third base situation regardless. But again, knowing that DJ LeMahieu is likely going to be the guy, it's not even a comparison. Like, I don't love Nico Hoerner, but Nico Hoerner over DJ LeMahieu, it's a no fucking brainer, bro. I mean, it's a matter of over the course of the year, and I know the regular season isn't all that much what matters here. Nico Hoerner is going to be worth an extra 3-4 wins in terms of WAR just in its own right. I mean, LeMahieu was bad last year, man. Bad. And I got nothing against DJ, yo. I talk him up sometimes still because, like, the young ones don't remember prime DJ, bro. It's crazy how long ago it was, I know. But, like, DJ was a dog, and I appreciate his time here. At this point, though, bro, like, what are we doing? So, really anybody, and I don't want to lead that into, like, oh, I'm pumped at the idea of getting Jorge Polanco. But again, going back to what I was saying before with the Stroman shit, like, if we're not making another move until Stroman's dealt, and that move is fucking anybody you think is going to improve the team, what are you waiting for, bro? Because you're being cheap? Like, and I hate that I'm just throwing that out there because it sounds so, like, such a Twitter take to have. Like, oh, they're being fucking cheap, blah, 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 and, like show the amount of revenue they make. But, like, it really is that simple, man. Like, the Yankees are penny pinching. And if it's Jorge Polanco they do go out and want, yo, like, that's what we're stressing so hard. Like, gotta trade Stroman so we can get Jorge Polanco. And you're just like, no, if you fucking think Jorge Polanco makes the team better, which I don't, but whatever, go out and get him. Or Tim Hill, bro. Like, sign Tim Hill to the fucking 1-year, $3 million deal. You're already over the luxury tax anyways. And if you think you are going to be able to trade Stroman, then you're trading him, bro. You're already over the luxury tax right now. You're at $303 million. And if you sign Tim Hill, let's say you're at $307 million. If you think the trade is coming, it ain't coming until probably March. So I just don't really see what difference it makes, especially with, for Hill as an example. We've seen rumors with him circulating around that there's teams that are interested in his services, yo. So, like, what if you lose out on guys, bro? Like, there's probably guys the Yankees have already lost out on because, whether it's truly penny pinching, and by that I mean, maybe in the end, like, the payroll is where I'd want it to be, and that just means, enough to give you a representable roster, and by that I mean to be able to beat the Dodgers. So maybe by all this trade deadline, we're all well and good. But even so, bro, you're kind of screwing yourself in the process because you could be letting guys go that you could sign right now, but instead you're waiting until Stroman goes. Like, I think it's all pretty fucking dumb, to be honest. Who cares? The tax don't get calculated till the end of the year. Yeah, Jason. No, I don't know exactly when the taxes do get calculated, but that sounds about right to me. And again, we've discussed this. It's only monetary penalties at this point. They've already lost all the draft picks they're going to lose, the international bonus money they were going to lose, because they're over that initial tax. At this point, it's just, are they paying an 80% tax or 110% tax? Which, as of this day, they are. They're at $303 million, which, again, like, I'm not asking you to go up to 375, although I don't think I'd be I think I'd be within my rights to, make that request, to be honest. But it's like you're already at 303. You signed Tim Hill for $3 million. It's going to cost you, what, $6? Like, I don't want to get into it too much further because, I'm kind of getting crazy about it. But, like, it's ridiculous. What up, Bomb Boys? How you doing, man? How you doing? Blake Snell, he's a Dodger, bro. I don't know why I get 2023 vibes right now. I wouldn't worry. I push back a little bit on that, Jay Snow. And I've heard that mentioned a lot before. And I get it from a standpoint of, it's not Judge or nothing. But if Judge goes down, it could get dicey. And, weird freak accidents could always come into play. But one, our team, and when I make this point, I should even show it to the lineup, but the lineup is significantly better depth-wise, even with a DJ LeMahieu starting, than 2023's lineup was. The rest of the team, though, like the pitching especially, and this comparison is, I don't want to say a good one to make, but remember, 2023, we were looking at a rotation and be like, this is going to be one of the best staffs in the American League. And obviously that ended up not being the case, and we were kind of misled, which ultimately was just injuries, poor performance by Carlos Rodon, whatever. It was really just Cole that was great, and then Clark for a good portion of the year. This staff, though, is legit, and at this point I want to call it bona fide outside of, just the fact of you have a second-year starter in Heel, and then Clark Schmidt's still an unproven thing. But Cole, Fried, Rodon, and let's just bank on one of Heel/Clark being who they are, and I'm banking on both, to be honest. Your starting staff going into October is at the very least the best in the American League. And the rotation, bullpen, all in all, does put you on kind of the pedestal pitching-wise of the Dodgers. Not better, but at least turns into a conversation where we can look at a 7-game series and be like, all right, this will play. The Yankees pitching staff plays so much better than what they had in 2023. So the point is, the overall team is better. And second point, the AL, much weaker. And I don't want to keep, getting too big into that whole thing because, this ain't going to be a cakewalk per se. And teams are getting better. Like Boston's still getting better. Houston might bring back Alex Bregman. But speaking of those two teams, like, not Boston, but 2023, like, the Astros were better than us, truly. The Blue Jays were better than us. The, 2023, the Rangers, too. There was a lot more competition at that point. And that's not me, trying to throw the Yankees a bone, although I guess it kind of will. Like, the team is good, don't get me wrong. I don't want to come on here and be like, this is a shitty team. It's not. The pitching staff is incredible. And going back to a point I made a few weeks ago about, we don't got to replace the offense Juan Soto gave us, and we don't got to totally replicate the 2024 lineup, although depth-wise, like, there still is a possibility it could be, like, better. Forget all that. The landscape of the team has changed. It's a pitching-focused team now, and a very, very strong pitching-focused team at that. And the lineup's not so bad either, but again, that doesn't give an excuse to run out DJ LeMahieu. So I'm not too worried about that, bro. I think while the floor for 2023 was, missed the playoffs, obviously, and a big part of that was losing Judge. For us this year, I ain't going to bank on winning the division, although I'm pretty close. Give me a wild card series, bro. I think that's worst case scenario, and that may not even be worst case scenario, because you want to know why? You want to know why, chat? That fucking gap between playoff series is fucking my boy up. I'm telling you. Judge doesn't like that 5-day gap. It ain't no coincidence in my head, at least. He fucking rakes in wild card games and wild card series, and typically picks it up as it goes along. He was getting hot towards the end of the World Series. I don't think the 4 or 5 day gap is good for Judge. I'm not saying I want to lose the division on purpose for that reason, but if we're in a wild card series with our pitching staff, that ain't the worst thing in the world. Like, realistically speaking, forget the Judge thing, although that's an actual point I could go on if you want. But, the floor for this team is not winning the division, but still making the playoffs. The deadline is going to be huge. The remaining moves are going to be huge, whether that's coming in next month or probably not till March because we're waiting on a Stroman trade. We'll see. But I've definitely seen that go around a lot. And I do disagree, but I appreciate your opinion. What up, Christian? Christian says, Dan, what's your opinion on Ha-Seong Kim? 342 on base last 2 seasons to see what the Yankees need. I'd be down. And his defense is definitely good. So it'd be an improvement over DJ. Quite a large one, really, as most would be. So absolutely. Dodgers sitting there probably laughing at our situation. You think getting embarrassed on the biggest stage would lit a fire under Hal's ash? Nope. Yeah, Gus. And I was saying something similar last week. Remember Cashman? I think this was after the Fried signing. And this was a hype-ass time, bro. Like, this is fucking awesome. It was borderline like playoff like adrenaline. Like that week or 2 to 3 weeks when we were making all these moves. And that just, whatever. It was just awesome. Part of the hype was Cashman saying no retreat, no surrender. It's like, all right, word, bro. Like, we are retooling. We're going all in, which is why the optimism surrounding the Goldschmidt signing, which individually I'm still there with, but we kind of all, myself included, thought there'd be a move following that. Like, I was almost certain, and I think we talked about this, somebody mentioned it last week, and I couldn't agree more, that part of the enthusiasm about when they signed Goldschmidt and kind of went cheap at first base was, all right, word, now they're definitely going to get a second baseman. I remember thinking they were going to have a second baseman within like a week after that. So all I'm asking for them is just a finish, man. Gotta finish. What up, Hector says? Hector says, the Astros don't scare me. Yeah, no, me either. I will say, if they get Bregman back, and that's going to end up being a funky situation, because that apparently means or entails that they're going to put Altuve in left field and Bregman goes to second. Again, another former shortstop. Guys are always former shortstops, but I don't know. The idea of them doing all that, not so much moving Bregman around, that's fine, but Altuve in left, whatever. They'll have not my respect in terms of like the Astros that we're so fearful of and, you don't want to face in a playoff series, but in terms of like a team that is one of the better teams in the AL, like the Astros, if they get Bregman back, and maybe even with that, like they'll still be up there. They're not going to be a joke. Nobody in the AL is going to be, and by that I mean the contenders. Like the Rangers are going to be good. Red Sox have improved. They're a legitimate team. The Astros are the Astros. The Orioles obviously too. Like they're not peasants for the top contenders in the AL, but as of this date right now, none are better than us. But it's not about that, yo. It's about getting better than the Dodgers. Just realized you're Dan Rook on the warehouse games. Hell yeah, FW. And yo, speaking of, and shout out my guy Morgan, by the way. He's my fucking homie. I love you, Morgan. I'm gonna get out of here. Because Slapball is premiering like right now, game 2. It actually already got going. So for those who haven't seen, it's like literally backyard sports in a warehouse. John Boy made it. If you don't know who that is, you know who John Boy is. Who am I fucking kidding? It's fucking badass. So check it out. Warehouse games. I assume most of you kind of know the deal by now, but check it out. I'm playing as we speak. And yeah, back next week, Tuesday, 7 o'clock, right around roughly. Good time tonight, guys. Appreciate you all tuning in. And I feel like I have something else to say here. Let's watch this Judge throw because I was watching he's going back to right field, so I was watching a bunch of his old throws. This is fucking, and I post this on Yanks app, but this is fucking ridiculous. I mean, come on. See you soon, pal. All right, yo. See you guys next time. Let's go, Yanks.